Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, esteemed President Joe Biden. Can I get an FJB, please? He demands that you watch the State of the Union tonight. Hello and welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Congratulations on finding the channel. Not so easy to do. And I'm coming to you from the $1 billion bunker. Wink, wink, right? Those who know, it's a little bit of sarcasm. So the State of the Union is coming on TV at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. The folks on Nation Plus, you should have gotten a bingo card a few days ago. We have a little bit of fun with it because sadly, I'm going to watch this thing. I feel like it's kind of related to prepping because, hey, Joe Biden is a number one reason to prep in 2024. So I'm taking one for the team. If you have no interest in watching the State of the Union, we will be covering it tomorrow. But I just I got some thoughts on it. I got some stuff simmering, son. You know what I mean? Metaphorically speaking, I ain't got nothing in there on the stove or anything. So last year, Joe Biden gave his State of the Union address, and it lasted an hour and 13 minutes. And that's a long time, but we'll get into that. So the top exit polling question on, people that voted in the primaries on both sides, they ask them, think what you will of the voting system, rigged or whatever, but they ask the people when they're leaving, what's the top issue? Is it women's rights? Is it the economy? Is it Z-Man over there? The top issue is immigration. And so I fully expect the old thief in chief to talk a lot about immigration and kind of, if he's able to talk at all, I mean, let's call a spade here. If he's able to talk at all, he's going to be hitting on immigration. He's going to be talking about how tough he is on immigration, lying through his falsies, if you will. Hey, look, he's not tough on immigration. That's just one man's opinion, but he's going to get up there and he's going to try and fleece the entire country. But again, he may not be able to function whatsoever because if you have seen Joe Biden recently giving speeches and things like this, it looks like me when I've had an hour and a half of sleep over here and I'm trying to live stream and sometimes I'll be having like toothpicks up in my eyes and stuff, but it's even worse. I mean, he's beyond like a Marlboro Red and 2 White Claws. That ain't helping this man. They're going to have to give him something that you would normally give at a zoo to get this man up on stage, especially if he goes for an hour and 13 minutes. I doubt he will. It'll probably be like 18 minutes or something crazy. But if he somehow manages, my question is, what is the State of the Union, Joe? And I don't think Joe's in the chat. Y'all can answer it if you want to. But in the event that Joe sees this and understands what YouTube is and knows about the internet and realizes, he's not a spirit in the nether somewhere, he's actually here. Joe, what is the State of the Union right now? What is the condition of the United States of America? If you were this administration, I mean, point blank, even if you're a fan of this administration, God help, it's like one of those, you get sick to your stomach and you got that, I don't know how to explain that taste in your mouth, almost like a metal taste. Somebody being a fan of this administration in 2024, you're bound to walk around with that taste in your mouth. But what do you hang your hat on exactly? If you are a fan of Biden, if you're still riding with Biden and old Chuckles, and and that whole insane clown posse, what do you hang your hat on when you meet up with your friends? And goodness, what a friend group that must be. What do you talk about exactly? What has Biden done for the United States of America? What has Kamala Harris done for the United States of America? And we're going to talk about that quickly. If you have not subscribed to the channel and maybe hit a thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever, I would truly, from the bottom of me old heart, appreciate it because that's how YouTube works, right? So anyway, let's get back to it. So I'm bringing receipts today, and I think my co-host on Thursday mornings. He'd be proud. He brings a lot of receipts. So numbers don't lie. Okay, there's no spin here. I actually went to different sources for this as well. So Forbes, let's go to Forbes. What is the average national gas price? Well, at this time during the term, Donald Trump, $2.57 a gallon. Joe Biden, currently it's $3.60 a gallon. And they will be quick. The White House will be quick to point and say, yes, but we were not involved in wars. And the war's over with Z-Man and them. It's driven the price up. Well, technically that is true. But we were not involved in wars because nobody was going to start one with Trump in the White House. They respected him, I think. They respected the fact that he wasn't playing when it came to that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion, though. Let's look at the mortgage rates. This comes from the Washington Post. Under Trump, mortgage rates were at the same time during the first term, okay? Trump, 3.1%. Joe Biden, 7%. I mean, that's a number that is hard to argue with, isn't it? It's gotten more expensive to live, to literally have a roof over your head. The inflation rate across the board, heavily dispute this, by the way. But the inflation rate across the board, this comes from the government itself, all right? It's via the Washington Post, but they pulled the actual numbers from, the feds. Under Trump, it was 0.9%, the inflation rate. The median rate across the board. Under Joe Biden, it is 5.33%. I'm not really good with math, but it seems like 0.9% is slightly lower than 5.33%. I mean, they're both small numbers and they may seem menial, but they're not. The central bank under Joe Biden has actually raised the interest rate to combat inflation 11 times. So there's a problem. Whatever they're telling you about Bidenomics or whatever, or we're going to, no, they ain't doing it. They're not doing it. The Fed knows what's going on. They just lie to your face. Illegals under Joe Biden, and this is actually heavily disputed between the two sources that I went from. Take them both with a grain of salt. I wanted to provide the number from each side of the fence. So if you go to our friends, sarcasm, folks. If you go to our friends at factcheck.org, oh, what a group that must be as well. They say illegals that came in under Joe Biden thus far sits at 8 million. That's a lowball number, but that's still 8 million people that are not supposed to be here that have entered this country illegally. Now, again, I mean, we were just talking about random planes coming in yesterday. The White House is finally admitting they're doing this. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, this is what they're admitting to. 8 million. Trump has made the claim 15 million. So I don't know what the actual number is, but if you take 8 and you take 15 and you're objective and you meet in the middle somewhere, it's a lot of freaking people, no matter how you slice it. It's crazy. We've emptied our nation's war chest out for Z-Man, and for what? As I film this, Congress is considering the spending bill again that would allot tons of money, both to the Middle East and to Europe. And for what? What do we gain exactly? Is it going to prevent future endless wars? Of course not. It's ridiculous. It's wasted money. This is a quote under Joe Biden from the Department of Energy. The Biden administration is building a more inclusive world through enhanced energy options. This is something this administration will go down in history, if nothing else, for this. Saying a bunch of fancy words and actually saying nothing in the process. And we're going to get into Kamala Harris here in just a second. metaphorically speaking. Don't even go there. Forced Uncle Charlie, no, son. But again, what does this actually mean? The Biden administration is building a more inclusive world through enhanced energy options. All I hear is blah, 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 word salad. What does that actually mean? Kind of sounds like you're coming after coal. It kind of sounds like you're coming after crude oil and things. And it kind of sounds like you're trying to plug us in to an all electric grid, pretend like it's more inclusive somehow in fantasy land, and it's better for everybody. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, but I don't know. Let There were protests against some because Biden has tried to pass a lot of stuff since he's been in there as it pertains to energy, right? He shut a lot of things down. He wants to go clean and green, as he calls it. Um, he wants, you know, gas engines pretty much gone in vehicles. He wants your weed eaters and your mowers gone, your wood stove backwoods. He wants all of this stuff gone. He's going after dishwashers. He's going after stoves, everything. We know this, right? It's putting people out of work to boot. So there were protests against these ridiculous bills that he's trying to push. And this is a direct quote from y'all's Madam Vice Thief in Chief. I almost said Madam Vice President, the Madam Thief in Chief. This is what I'm talking about. This is a direct quote. I think that the concerns are based on what we should be concerned about. She was asked this, I think it was on Covert, the late night show. She was asked directly, what are your thoughts on these protesters? Do you think you guys have overstepped? Maybe with the energy bills, do you think you're trying to fast track it too soon? This is a problem with this administration. It always has been. Say what you will about Trump. Yeah, he pissed people off, but he took hard stances on most things, right? He knew I'm going to take a hard stance here. It's going to piss this group off, but it's what I believe. And I think this is how we move the country forward, right? No Trump voter out there thinks he's perfect because of warp speed and stuff like this. I totally get that. Saw those comments yesterday. But again, she's asked a direct question. She's asked to take a stance. Are you backing Joe Biden on this stuff? Or do you think the protesters might actually be right here and the White House has overstepped? And again, her direct quote, I think that the concerns are based on what we should be concerned about. What does that even mean? What does that mean? This, again, they will go down in history, if nothing else, as the one administration, the White House speaker as well, where they just talk in circles about random nothing. Y'all think the jibber jabber over here is bad, son? No, and the rambling, no. Go watch a White House press conference. Tune in to the State of the Union tonight when you're 30 seconds in and Biden can't read the teleprompter. Yeah, be there for that. You want some entertainment, pop you some popcorn ahead of time. If you partake in the alcohol, take a shot every time he, gets a word messed up. But don't say I didn't warn you when you're at the hospital wondering what happened. All right. It's such an embarrassment for the United States of America. There's plenty in this country to be embarrassed about right now. Still love the country. I'll see this from time to time. Man, you don't love this country. I do. I love this country. My entire family, U.S. Army. You know what I'm saying? I do love this country, but it's embarrassing right now on so many different levels. We can go into Bud Light. We can go into the Doritos fiasco that just took place. I mean, there's so much going on, but it starts at the top. It starts at the White House. The White House kind of dictates where the rest of the country is headed. And so many people don't care about elections in 2024. I mean, let's be honest here, okay? Either they care nothing about politics in general because they're younger, and I can remember being here, very early 20s, trying to get dates and things like this. Hey girl, what's up? Trying to get a Boston stereo in my car, trying to make ends meet in an apartment with a roommate. I didn't care about real world issues. But as you get older and as you have kids, you begin to care about real things. You begin to understand, okay, well, as cool as a car stereo is, I would prefer my kids have shoes, this sort of stuff. And you just grow out of it and you begin to care about politics. But we have a lot of younger people that just don't care. This is why Taylor Swift's out here beating the drum trying to get people to go vote. All right. Number one, because they're like drones and they do whatever this lady says, apparently. And number two, they're going to vote however they tell her to vote. They don't even know what's going on. But you have a second group that thinks the entire system is corrupt and there's no sense in voting. There's no reason to do it. It's such a waste of time. And I can't necessarily 100% disagree with that. But either way, the question is, what is the future in that kind of thinking? We discussed it yesterday morning. If we're not going to use the Second Amendment and we're not going to stand up for our rights when they're being thieved right in front of our faces, if we're not going to demand, don't tread on me while we're being tread on, so to speak, but we're also not going to vote because we don't trust the system and it's all corrupt, what are we doing to secure our future exactly? You know, I blame Biden and I blame globalists and I blame the people, the vampires that meet in Switzerland for sure. But Americans are letting them get away with it. And a lot of Americans just don't even care enough to lift a little finger like they're having a tea party to do anything about it or to say anything about it or to speak out against it. There's so many people that just don't care. And what are we supposed to do then? Are we supposed to just keep our mouths shut? Do we keep working and paying taxes in order to fund the survival for half of the country because half of the country will not work? Or they work under the table and they lie about it so they don't have to pay taxes and that therefore we have to pay for their every want and need? Do we continue to do that? I'm sorry, I know that's a tough subject right now. It's tax time. Some people celebrate it and they're going out and getting full sleeve tattoos and vacations. Dynamite and I were just talking about this the other day. The other half of us, we're not so lucky. We owe a lot of money and it's thievery. It sucks, man. But what is the plan B? What are we going to do about it? Does anybody have a plan B? Does anybody know anybody that has a plan B? Because I don't see one. I don't see anybody lifting a finger to do anything about it. The invasion is overrunning our country. Most of us know it. You still get those deniers creeping in here. They'll peek in here and they'll say, "Hey, son, there ain't no invasion. Y'all are paranoid." And then they log back off, right? But most of us know there's an invasion. Somebody was just saying, I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Mike McDonald, but somebody was saying, come to Chicago. They're willing to meet you in Chicago and walk you around the city and show you there's an invasion. But at the end of the day, what are we doing about it? We hoping Trump fixes it, right? Somebody said, well, we've got a Second Amendment for a reason. Well, having a Second Amendment doesn't do anything if you're scared to use it. The moment the invasion started, that was the moment that it was time to put up or shut up. we're we're watching these people being bussed into our communities and dropped off. We're watching it in real time. We're still funding endless wars with our grandkids' wealth. I don't know. What do we do about it? Do we vote? Hope that fixes it? Do we not vote and just sit around with a pouty face and a dirty diaper and say voting doesn't matter and do nothing? Or does the crowd that says don't vote, do they actually have a plan B? If they do, I would love to hear it, folks. This is John with Prepper Nation. You all have a blessed day.